Yeah, great to see everybody. Excited to kick off the 2024 spring football season and obviously begin building the foundations for our football team. Every season it all starts over again. Everything begins new, from replacing seniors, for us excellent players both on and off the field who established a culture that really emphasized and lived our core values. We had an excellent group of men, and I wish those guys all the best as they're continuing to chase their dreams. We have 8 players in Indianapolis right now for the Combine. I believe that's a Mizzou record for most players in attendance. But on top of those guys, we've also got a great amount of players who will be participating in their pro day, I believe, on March 22nd. Really excited for their future, and can't say enough great things about those guys. But again, with any new season, you have to start over and find ways to build this year's team. With success comes opportunities for people associated with our program, and everyone's journey is uniquely different and uniquely theirs, and I can't control it all. My mom taught me to believe the best in people, and so in regards to Coach Baker, Coach Peoples, Coach Whitty, Jake Olson, including our athletic director, Desiree Reed-Francois, moving on to other opportunities, we wish them the absolute best. And we appreciate and thankful for their contributions that they made to our program and to this university. But really what's important is now, and the people that are in this building and the people that are in this organization, and the opportunity that they have now moving forward. We have to, like I said, we have to start laying the foundation for this year. And in order to go further, faster, in order to have more success than we've had previously, we have to start over in laying the foundation. We spent the previous 5 weeks with Coach Russell and his Elite Edge program. We spent last week reviewing our core values, and this week we'll start with our spring goals. I'm excited about the additions to our staff. Corey Batoon, our defensive coordinator, has an extensive background in coaching defense, whether that's been at Central Missouri, Arkansas State, Ole Miss, Hawaii, Liberty, or South Alabama. He's been associated with great defensive football play. I was really excited after his interview, not only because of his expertise in understanding the back end and tying that in with the front end, but also because of his technical abilities coaching the safety position in an area that I know that we need to improve. He'll do a tremendous job coaching not only the safeties, but also making sure that death row defense doesn't lose any of the tenacity that it's built, any of the aggressive nature that we have, but also finding ways to improve. Brian Early is our edge coach. He's a similar background to us, former high school football coach, who got an opportunity to coach college football and has made the most of it. Developed a lot of great pass rushers and defensive linemen at Houston. Had defensive players of the year at Arkansas State, and has really been a great addition to us so far. We also added Jacob Euro as a defensive analyst from Hawaii. He'll be our lead defensive analyst and somebody who has experience not only coaching, coordinating, but coaching defensive football at a high level. We'll add a few more analysts throughout the spring, and I'll make those announcements as they get formalized or finalized. I'm going to sneeze at some point. I'm going to keep fighting through it. Nope. There it is. This is the first opportunity I've had to speak on our mid-year transfers who've joined our football team. I thought our staff did an excellent job of going out and finding the pieces that we needed to add to our team. Probably the lead begins with Caden Green, offensive tackle from Kansas City, coming to us from Oklahoma. Played in 11 games last year, had 5 starts. Is a guy that we think has position flexibility, but will begin the spring term as a left tackle. Very excited about his length, speed, athleticism, also excited about his tenacity, and it's always fun to see all the talk about him on Twitter. Marcus Carroll, running back from Georgia State. First team All Sun Belt Conference, we're going to be replacing the SEC's leading rusher, so obviously that was a position that we had of need. First team all Sun Belt Conference, single season rushing record at Georgia State with 1,350 yards in 12 games. But not only stopped there, we added Nate Noel from Appalachian State, has rushed for 3,000 yards in his time, started 25 games in his career there. So very excited about those guys that we were able to add on the offensive side of the football. We also added J.R. Blood, a quarterback from Southern. His brother of Daniel Blood was a starting quarterback at Southern University last year. So on the offensive side of the football, I believe those are the additions that we've had so far through the portal. I felt like we addressed the significant needs that we have, and very excited to see what those guys' additions to our program look like throughout the spring. On the defensive side of the ball, obviously we knew with the loss of our two corners, we needed to add some depth at the corner position. Very fortunate to get Toriano Pride to come back, corner from St. Louis. Has played over 500 snaps in 26 games, 3 starts at Clemson, so very excited about his addition there. We added a couple more players on the back end with with Caleb Flagg and with Gerald Lacey, two safeties coming from Stephen F. Austin and coming from Houston Christian. Those guys have played a lot of football. Well, Caleb has played some football. Gerald just got started. Really needed to add some depth at the D-line position. So 2 transfers that we brought in at the DN position, Zion Young from Michigan State, played over 20 games, and Darius Smith from Georgia, played over 16 games. Those guys add length and size that we need in that room and the ability to rush the passer. We also felt like we needed to add some D-tackle depth, losing 3 rotational starters. For us, we added Chris McClellan, who appeared in 25 games at Florida, and Sterling Webb, who played in all 14 of New Mexico State's conference championships game this year, making 8 starts. We needed to add some depth at linebacker and a potential to start a standout performer, Corey Flagg, who played in 43 games and 23 starts at Miami. Very excited for him. Having 2 starters leave with Chad Bailey and Tyron Hopper, adding Corey Flagg was huge for us. And then Brady Holtman, who transferred in from Wyoming, very excited to see what he can do for us. And then we needed to add a punter, and we added Orion Phillips, punter from Murray State, also from Australia. Very good. It's an experienced group with well over 100 career starts amongst them. It's going to be great for them to get acclimated to what we're trying to do here, and then for them to show us what their strengths are and figure out how we can find value for them in their role this spring. As with every spring, we have clear, specific spring goals for our players, but overall for us, so as a reminder, spring is about individual player development. We are about these guys getting better. Each one of these players have been given an assigned task by their coaching staff, and we're excited for those guys to fundamentally, technically, and schematically improve throughout the spring. The second one is to ID the strengths and weaknesses of our squad. What do we do really well? What are the things that we have to improve on? And then we have really 5 months to attack it. And then the last one is to continue to define just us. What's important to us is our team, this group, and connect the brotherhood together in order for us to be a more unified unit. So with that, I'll open it up for questions, but we're excited to kick off this spring. Actually, I won't open it up for questions. There are 2 players that will be out because of injury. Isaac Thompson and Sam Horn will miss the remainder of the spring. Isaac is recovering from his injury in the summer. Sam had to have Tommy John surgery. The great thing about Tommy John surgery is it's an operation that is going to allow for full recovery, and that timetable is unknown. But our goal for Sam Horn is to be 100% healthy when he comes back. And healthy for him means throwing 96 off the bump and throwing 50-yard touchdowns. So when he is both of those, then we'll have him ready to play football for us. But first and foremost, he's a unique football and baseball talent. We got to get him healthy. So that's the injury updates. And then we do have, this will be my first press conference, and then I'll address everybody post-spring. I want to give y'all more access to our coordinators and coaches this spring to allow you the opportunity to ask them direct questions and for them to grow in the experience of dealing with the media. So please be nice to them. And then, as always, we'll have access to players. But for me, get your questions in now, all right? Because after this, I'll see you the Wednesday of March 20th, probably.
Eli, with Sam being out, how do you have to change Brady's responsibility? I know he doesn't get hit, but
yeah,
just wear and tear during spring and between now and August.
Yeah, I think that's one thing about Brady is he's such a pleaser. He wants to do everything. We got to make sure he understands to not overdo it. But that's where you got Aiden Glover and JR and Tommy. And then, we'll see. I think there's a potential for us, depending on what the diagnosis is, for time, potentially we take somebody out of the portal if the opportunity presents itself to better the team.
Does that mean you're not ruling out that Sam could play football next season?
Next season? Well, I don't know. It depends how far we go. But, I don't anticipate that he would play next year. We elected to take the full surgery, and there was an opportunity there that you could have potentially not done a full reconstruction and been back quicker for football, but it leaves some to be desired on the baseball end. And again, Sam is, I think at one point he was considered a top 30 prospect for the 25 draft. So, our number one goal is to get him back to that first, and then we'll see that will positively affect football too.
Eli, obviously turning the page now to a new season. How do you kind of balance as a program, the success that you guys had last year, balancing, turning that page?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think we've had to deal with that at all. I think whenever you have enough ripples in your organization or brotherhood through changes, it creates a sense of urgency. I know for me personally it has, and I think for our team, it's done the same thing. I think there's also been that ripple effect of being able to watch our players compete in the Senior Bowl and at the Combine, and there's a sense of it's my turn now. It's my opportunity now to go achieve what I've always dreamed about achieving. But they also realize that didn't just wish to happen. Our players that are at the Combine, where they're getting ready for Pro Day, they've worked their butt off for a year. We're completely dedicated and bought into, hey, if I come back this season and dedicate myself, I can put myself in a position to play at an elite level. And you look at the conversations with Darius Robinson right now, and what he did for his draft stock at the Senior Bowl. Not only him, but Chris Abrams-Drain, Ennis Rakestraw, Cody Schrader, Javon Foster, Tyron Hopper. These guys are going to continue to rise up the boards because not only have they shown good tape, but they also show good work ethic. And I think our team is seeing that, and whether that's been a commitment to nutrition with Joseph Charleston or a commitment to doing extra with Brady Cook and Luca Burton and Theo Weiss or Christian Williams, you're seeing that next wave of leaders and setting the tone for what the standard is. If you get caught around patting yourself on the back for last year, you're going to be really disappointed. And so I don't think anybody is sitting around staring at the Cotton Bowl trophy. All right, so we'd like for everybody to come celebrate Saturday night at the basketball game for it, but that's not our focus right now.
You're in these early days with this group. What traits are you already seeing emerge? Is it too early for that, or what are you seeing from this group so far?
Well, they'll each have to kind of piece that together. But the traits that we want to continue to see are the core values of always compete, to do it better than it's ever been done before, to build trust and respect amongst the brotherhood, to do more than what's expected, to enjoy the journey. And those things we are seeing. Our Saturday morning optional workouts have been phenomenal. To see the number of people, I actually can't say see, I haven't seen, but to hear about the number of people that have shown up to those has been incredible. To see or to hear about the number of times that these guys are already throwing extra, to walk down and ask Brady, have you seen the sack tape? Yeah, I watched it 2 weeks ago. There's 6 sacks that I took that I got to take off the tape, and then this clip, I've got to make sure I'm finding my check down sooner. Or Luther Burke, what are your goals for next year? I mean, these guys have already embraced the things that it took us 3 years to really build, and so, again, you want to get further faster. When you reread a book, you don't skip chapters. You read it faster through, a better interpretation because you've already read it before, and that's the hope that what we're doing this year.
Coach, when you hire new coaches to your coaching staff, it's not just about X's and O's, there's got to be cultural fit. So when you talk to a coach early and Coach Platoon, what about them, told you, okay, these guys are fitting in what we're trying to do?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing we look for is low ego, high output. Both of these guys, from an ego standpoint, are very much open to doing what we've done here in the past and adding value to it. And then I think the second thing is you want to see great teachers. When you go back and check these guys' resumes, the amount of development that they've had at their position is a reflection of not only great teachers, but great evaluators in the recruiting aspect. And so I think those guys provide that value. I think the other two things or the other thing about both of them that's unique is that they embrace who they are. They're not trying to replace anybody. They're just trying to be uniquely them. And then they're going to embrace their role and add value through the way that they add value. So it's been really good. I think we've opened up a brand new corridor to recruiting in Hawaii with both Corey and Jacob. So I look forward to reaping those benefits, mainly by making some unofficial visits over to Hawaii to help us.
On a basis, most standpoint, is Corey Platoon likely to run a similar system with Blake?
Yeah, we are. We're going to base out on 4-2-5. Everybody has their own fingerprints when they paint, right? Styles. And so Corey's going to call the game the way stylistically he sees it and has always seen it. But, if we call bench front, which is a 3 technique to the boundary, bench front instead of whatever he called in the past, we're going to assimilate to what we've done here. Really similar to what I asked Kirby to do. There's going to be some changes naturally. We changed the boundary in position to a joker. We're going to call it a joker because it fits some of the things that he does. But there's going to be a whole lot of carryover. I want them to be uniquely them, but I want them to make sure that our players' learning is prioritized. We talk about it a lot, preference over performance. What's best for our players and our team's performance.
Will you do something similar to what Blake did when he first came? Blake said he learned the system that was in place, or was it kind of going to be how most coordinators to teach their players?
No, he's going to learn the system first and then figure out what schematic changes we want to do. I thought you were referring to wearing cleats and running around like a madman, crazy with his shirt off. No, he ain't doing that.
Coach, with the offensive line, as that builds out over the next few months, just what are you looking to see from some of those options, especially on that left side, over the next few weeks here?
Yeah, we're looking for the best combo of 5. What's the best 5 look like? Obviously we've got a pretty strong 3 with Connor Cam and Armand, but you're having to replace, I think, nearly 50 career starts, maybe 100 combined between Javon and X. And so, that's going to be a tough task. You're not going to replace that day one. Obviously, it was a good start to get Caden here, but you've got other guys, Brent Solis, Jaden Richardson, Logan Riker, Tristan Wilson. Why is his first name escaping me here? Yeah, Tristan. Yeah, I was thinking of the other. All right. 2 Wilsons is a bad deal for me, okay? Tristan, Mitchell Walters could slide in there and play some. Caleb Piper's moved in. So we have a lot of opportunities there. It's just going to be about figuring out who the 5 best work together on.
What lessons are there for the newer running backs to be drawn from, Cody's story, and probably less his personal story and more the approach that he took and how he got to be as successful as he was?
Yeah, we actually talked about it Wednesday when we were pointing out our core values, people who lived them. I think always compete, right? Cody came in 8th and didn't BCD, didn't blame, complain, or defend. He just went to work every day to try to be better today than he was yesterday. And doing the simple things really well adds up over time, right? Just do a little bit better and do it a little bit better, and all of a sudden you got a lot. And so that's the approach we talk to our whole team about. Number one, adopt the core values of always compete. Be better today than you were yesterday. don't let circumstances or perception define who you want to be, and then, approach every day with a competitive spirit.
Speaking of approach, do you notice any difference in Brady where this is unquestionably his team, whereas a year ago at this time, I know he approached it like it was his team, but I don't know if everybody outside knew that.
I don't think Brady hasn't changed really since week 3 after we beat K-State. He's kind of been the same consistent person, not looking over his shoulders, just being uniquely him. He is driving a much nicer car because of the NIL deal. And I've seen a couple more commercials on like Instagram and stuff. And so, maybe we got to make sure he's not going to be a celebrity quarterback, but he's Mr. Consistent. So I don't really worry about that part of it. I don't think that he's, approaching spring a whole lot different than how he approached bowl practice with something to prove.
Coach, back to the running backs real quick. When you look at Marcus Carroll, he's kind of similarly built to Cody Schrader, similar styles. Was that kind of the intent when you went in the portal? Maybe just someone who does something similar to Cody, or is it like he's the best available to us and he just happens to be a little similar to Cody?
Yeah, I just think we were looking for the right fit, productive. Nate Noel's got a little bit of speed, not a little bit of speed, a lot of speed, and very familiar with our outside zone scheme. And then Marcus Carroll has a little bit more size, has played or been more of a durable back. But I would say this, that doesn't discount Jamal Roberts or T-Man or anybody who wants to contribute. If our team hasn't learned their lesson from Cody Schrader 2 springs ago, was the 8th man on the depth chart, nobody knew who he was, to start week 1 of that game. Week 1 of fall camp or week 1 of the season. Whoever ends up earning the job is going to earn the job. Much like we said last year, there's really no preconceived ideas. There is a lot of opportunities for players to figure out what their roles are going to be and how they fit. And we job with the coaches to fit them together.
You pretty confident Blake Craig is your kicker, or is that a competition to replace Harrison? How's that go?
Every position's a competition. Every position's a competition. I think Blake will have the first swing at it, pun intended. But then after that, Nick Quadrini and Will Saffris. Whoever consistently puts the ball through the uprights, and whether that's from an extra point or inside the 20s, to being as consistent as they can, as deep as they can.
What are the important things for you and your program in the next AD, or is that something that you don't think about?
It's not something I really think about. I don't have, the things that I'm growing more and more as a leader is to invest in the things that I can control. And the things that I can't control, then the less I worry about them, the more I can focus on the things that I can control. I've got a lot of faith in our president, who's been consistent with me since I've been here. We've got a very strong board of curators with great leadership, and I know they'll pick the right person for the university of Missouri.
And Noel coming from App State, is that anyone you had a connection with recruiting-wise when you were there?
Yeah, we recruited. Yeah.
With this losing 5 of your 16 captains from a year ago, what does that do to an 11-2 team?
Yeah, that's probably the single biggest loss, right? Leadership. Leadership, as we know, is neutral. It's not good or bad. It's got to be pushed one way or the other. So there's a vacuum, a void of leadership. The positives are, I think there's a lot of people in that room who lead in a positive way and understand what that looks like. And I think that we were working, as guys were getting dinged up and injured last year, we were working towards new guys stepping in. You have Christian Williams, you have Chuck Hicks, you have Tristan Newsom, who played a lot. You have Johnny Walker, who has not only played a lot, but performed at a high level on the biggest stage. You have Brady Cook, Connor Tolson started for 2 years now. Theo Weiss is coming back. So I think there's plenty of positive people. Chris Cray is a guy that is consistently doing more than what's expected. I think there's a lot of guys who are consistent in living the core values that it's their opportunity to now lead this football team.
When you talk about leadership, you look at that wide receiver room with this many guys that have played as much college football, they have what kind of, advantage is that to have that much competition in that room as well?
Yeah, I think it's an advantage if we attack it as competition. It's competition versus complacency, and which one are they gonna be? And I think that's gonna be the challenge for that room is, are they gonna compete every single day to be better, or are they gonna be complacent and say when the lights come on, we'll be good enough? Look, talk's cheap, it's gonna be about, who's gonna be about that action in the start of one-on-ones, because I know there's a real hungry group of corners to prove themselves every single day in one-on-ones and in combatives. And I know that wide receiver room is gonna have to meet that challenge head on if they're gonna have the success that they think they're gonna have.
Coach, with those corners and just the secondary at large, where there's some starting jobs to fill, just who do you expect to see maybe rise to the top through spring camp here with that?
I think, again, all of them have a great opportunity. I think we would all be kidding ourselves if we didn't believe that Drayton Norwood was ahead of everybody else, just the amount of snaps that he's played and the consistency that he played. I mean, Ennis was injured and dinged up throughout most of the year. And Drayton played a lot of good football for us. Marcus Clark, I think, was third on our team in interceptions. Toriano Pride is obviously transferring in with a lot of opportunity ahead of him. You've got Nick LaRoche, who redshirted last year. You got Shamar McNeil, who redshirted last year. Both of those guys were brought in here with the ability to play. We knew they were. We'll be adding Sensabaugh in the summer. We've also got Jamarian Wang playing corner this spring, which is something that we're very excited to see what he can contribute. So there's plenty of guys over there with the opportunity to earn the position. And that's going to be a really exciting spring. I think Coach Poe is one of our best teachers and developers. And I look forward to seeing what he's going to do with that room. I mean, when Coach Poe got here, there was a lot of question marks about what that room was going to become. And he developed two really, really good players.
Coach, I'm not a video game guy, but this EA Sports game is taking on a life of its own on social media.
Yeah.
Is that important for Mizzou to be in there and some of your players to be in the game? Is that something you hear about in recruiting or any of that kind of stuff?
Well, I just saw where the top 10 playbooks, Missouri's offense wasn't listed, which is absolutely insanity. I mean, how Kirby Moore's offense isn't listed as top 10 offense after going 11-2 with a quarterback who's ranked in the top 9 in the 90s, and I think Luther's got one of the highest rankings on there. And that would make sense that the offense was in the top 10. So now I don't pay attention to it. No, I think it's really important for us anytime that we can put and market our brand, right? So if you're going to have EA Sports, it's not a complete game unless you tell the story of Mizzou football and the players that we have here. And obviously, I think it's a great opportunity for our guys to opt in, to receive money, receive a free game. I think sometimes it's catch-22 when people are saying, well, they're not being valued enough. Compared to what? Compared to not having the game and you're not able to opt in, where now you get an opportunity to be paid and get to play the game for free. So I think sometimes opportunities have to be seized. As the game increases, then maybe there's opportunities for them to do more with it. But I think it's a great thing for college sports. As a guy who grew up playing college football on Sega Genesis, I'm excited for it to come back, although I don't know how to play on these new game consoles.
You alluded to it a little bit at the beginning, but just curious if the last couple of years, if you can give us insight into your relationship with Desiree, and no matter who it is, if there's a change at the top, is that a challenge in your position?
Yeah, I mean, first, I think I had a great relationship with Desiree. We worked well together to try to advance not only the athletic department, but the University of Missouri football program. I think we accomplished that. No, I don't think it's a challenge to have somebody new come in. I think it's an opportunity. I think with any situation, it's an opportunity to improve your current condition. look at a new person coming in with strengths and how they're going to add value to what we're trying to build and what we're trying to accomplish. I would hope by now that it's really not about me at all. It's about how do we build Mizzou football to last for a long time as a premier place to come play college football. And whoever, and not only Mizzou football, but Mizzou athletics, I want us to have the best of the best. And that's from facilities to NIL, player development, to raise the standard. We're the single Division I playing football program in the state that has 8 million or so, 11 when you talk about surrounding areas. Like, the potential here is endless. And so for me, an opportunity to work with somebody new is just that. It's an opportunity to improve the possibilities. And I would go back to my opening statement, no different than with Desiree, with Coach Baker, with Coach Peoples, Coach Whitty, Coach Olson. I valued my time with those people. It's really not about them anymore. It's about us and what we're doing now on this new journey. And I'm not going to compare what's next with what was previous. It's just, it is what it is. And so, no different than Corey Batoon, and Brian Early, and Coach Jacob. Like, I'm excited about what this will be moving forward and the opportunity that we have to improve our condition. Because make no mistake about it, we got to get better. We got to improve. That's the name of the game, right? Nobody's patting ourselves on the back for losing 2 games last year. I know I'm not. I'm trying to figure out how do you not turn the ball over in critical situations, in order to give us a better chance to win. How do we stop quarterbacks? How do we, in those 2 games, we didn't force a turnover. Like, those are things that we got to improve on. And whoever and however we can do that, that's what's important to me.
Twitter, but
Twitter?
Yeah, but it seemed like there were some murmurings, at least online, that Kirby were a bit rumored for to join Caleb Bush staff at Alabama. I just wondered how much serious considerations maybe there, just how they are to have him on board.
I'm going to let Kirby answer those questions. I'm extremely grateful to have the continuity with Kirby for year 2. I think he did an outstanding job in a very tough, challenging situation last year. Anybody who's ever come in and tried to call plays with a head coach who's on that side of the ball, there are good days and bad days, and the mistakes feel magnified because, the guy who's in charge, and Kirby handled it so well all year. Not only did he run it the way he saw fit, he adopted the things that we felt like were really good, and he didn't have any type of ego about it, but he was very strong in the things that he knew that he felt convicted about. And I think it made for a very good offensive style of football. He had a great way with leading our offensive team, those guys buying into who he was as a leader. He was able to get a group of men who had worked with a previous coordinator and previous people, and he just was consistent in who he was on a daily basis, and those guys gelled and coached with him, I think, at a really, really high level. So to carry that continuity is really exciting, and I'm thankful that him and Kayla chose to still be at Mizzou. I think the challenge for him is no different than the wide receiver room. The challenge is, what do you focus on to improve and what do you say no to? We can't do everything, and we don't need to do everything. We need to focus on what is it exactly that we need to do to improve, and what are those 1 or 2 things, and how do I say no to all the noise? Because sometimes when you have this much experience coming back, you think, well, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. So he's going to have a real challenge with that, and then he's going to have a challenge with making sure that people don't think spring means, well, we're pretty good and we'll just show up in August. I think the reality of it is that's kind of what our defense did last year, rolling into about the first 5 games. And so we're going to have a healthy foot in the backside of making sure that there is no complacency on what we're trying to accomplish this season. Because last year has nothing to do with this year.
Anything else? Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
I don't know where you're going with that, rumblings and murmblings. I was like,
He's
between that and your action, I couldn't tell if you were mumbling.